Sorry about that, y'all. I plugged in my phone. So this is the color that I have. So it's, you know, I think it's not super warm. It's not super cool. I can't tell that it's super close to any other hue. Somewhere in the middle. Like it seems like it's just as close to a blue as it is to a yellow, as it is to a green, or even a red. But the value is not quite right. I want to get a middle tone neutral, okay, using like chromatic grays. So now I can finally adjust the value. So I'm going to use a little bit of white, okay. So notice the white actually ends up neutralizing colors much, much more and very quickly. Look at that. And so my goal is to try to get it into the middle tone range. Now at this point you might, maybe not, but you might be thinking like, why the hell do we have to spend all this time and energy mixing a chromatic gray when I could just mix a dadgum actual gray with two colors that I know will create a gray? Okay. Well, is because even though this probably seems super gray right now, flat, dead, or whatever, compared to the infinite number of other grays that are equally quote-unquote gray, this is distinct. Okay, there's no other gray like this. We could compare this to, okay, this is part of my palette from the previous project, right? So you see the grays here, you see this gray. I could put them side by side, right? This is a little bit, let's see, it's a little bit darker here. Here we go. So this is actually, the one I mix is a little bit of a warmer gray than this one. Just a little bit warmer. And so it's going to do something a little bit different spatially. Now probably the video is not going to show that very well. Maybe it will, maybe it will. But it's going to give you a command of color, and this is going to sensitize your eye to be able to perceive the obvious, huge, dramatic shifts in color and value. I mean, you already have that. But also these incredibly minute, subtle shifts. Those little subtle shifts, especially in temperature of color, and a slight shift in value, or sometimes no shift in value, but only a shift in temperature. Those are these magical, luminous moments where light affects, light resonates off of a form. These kind of magic moments that an artist can uniquely capture. Okay, so this is your goal. Create a gray like this. I'm going to keep mixing. If you feel like you've got it, you can, stop the video right here. What I'm going to do next, though, is I'm going to start with a different color and mix a different gray, just as an exercise. As always with these videos, feel free. You could watch these as you're painting if you want to. You could stop them, start them, rewind them. So you could listen to a little bit of what I'm saying, and as you do the same exact thing that I'm doing. In this case, literally the same exact thing. You could start with, the cadmium red light like I just did, and mix all of the colors in the exact same sequence as me. That would be fine with me. I started with red. Let's start with Viridian green. This is my least favorite color on the color wheel. Ugh. It's kind of caustic to me. So green. The opposite of green on the color wheel is red, right? And so I could use cadmium red light. It's kind of an orangey red, or I could use this alizarin crimson. So green, I know, I'm going to rationalize it to you. Okay. Remember I said if you don't know how to think through it, then just take a stab at it. Okay. But I'm gonna tell you what my thoughts are. My thoughts are this is green, and you make green with blue and yellow. So there's some kind of yellowishness that's we're going to perceive in this color because it is the hue of green. And so I'm not going to pick any red that might look like it could possibly have any yellow influence in it. So since cadmium red light is orange, which will appear like it has more yellow, it's a little bit closer in relationship to yellow than alizarin crimson, I'm going to use alizarin crimson. Remember, opposites attract, right? Opposites attract each other and play out each other's differences. They magnify each other's own uniqueness. But when mixed together, they just chill out. They just chill. So it's so interesting. Complementary color relationships are so freaking interesting because, I mean, they can result in one extreme of interaction or another. They either are so intense next to each other that your eye can't even stand it, or they just like totally cancel each other out and make mud. Okay, so this, let's see. Okay, it's definitely neutral. Okay, but it looks a little bit purpley to me. Let's see, it's kind of like a reddish purpley now. So it's a reddish purpley. What am I going to do? Let me try this yellow ochre. We haven't really used it. Purple and yellow are opposite on the color wheel. So notice how that yellow lightened it a good bit, because yellow is a lighter hue and a lighter pigment in this case. There we go, that helped. So now as I look at it, let's see, it's kind of warmish, looks maybe a little tiny bit smidge greenish, does it? I don't know. It looks as green as it looks red to me, so maybe I've got it. Maybe I've got a good chromatic neutral. I need to mix it more. So I'm going to adjust the value now. What's going to be really interesting is to see how this gray is different than the first gray. I'm going to try my best to get this chromatic gray the same exact value as this one. Okay, it needs to get a little bit lighter. So we're not really using white to affect, hue or temperature, although it does affect temperature for sure. Titanium white tends to cool colors down. It also dulls them down, pushes them really quickly towards neutral, and obviously lightens them too. So I'm just going to slowly approaching the same value as the other pile. Getting close. And they're very, very similar, aren't they? It's kind of cool. But there is a difference. I can see a little bit of a difference. Now the difference we might only be able to see if they're exactly side by side. Let's look. And the difference will not be value, it'll be temperature. So let's put this side by side. Right? Okay, maybe this one is a little bit darker. Okay. But this one over here is a little bit warmer. This one seems a little bit cooler. Isn't that interesting? And if you started with a different color from the color wheel or from the palette, you'd get a slightly different gray. And then if we compare that to, this gray that we mixed here, see they're different. They're different temperatures. Okay? This is the superpower that I want y'all to have by the end of this class, to be able to see nuances in color, and to be able to value neutrals as much as you value high intensity pure colors out of the tube. I use the word value totally as a pun, obviously. Okay, so again, your assignment is to create a chromatic gray and photograph every step, every color that you add into it. I want you to photograph how it changes. Don't get frustrated with this, just plug away at it. Okay, the good news is the more colors, the more things that you add into a pile of paint, the more neutral it's going to get. Okay, remember, no black, none. Okay, only use white at the very end when you've got it as neutral as you can get it. You can only use white in this scenario to lighten your colors so that it becomes a middle tone. Okay, good luck.